Okay, I'd like I'll start and maybe ask a question or two, and then I'll start with this Mehdi, and then we could open it up for questions for both of you. Yeah, so the film, maybe a comment first about the about the film. The film functions for me it functions on two levels as this convincing story of this young French Arab man student who then has in one night seems to have this kind of magical night that parallels the night that his professor has, and then on this night something happens so that they seem to somehow substitute identities in a sense. But even as I say this, I'm speaking about what I saw, but I'm kind of interpreting and speaking about a metaphorical level. So I'm interested actually in hearing your thoughts about the two levels on which the film works, both at a direct narrative that we see sort of this person's identity, and at the end Yassine has his identity as Yassine again. But there's something else that the film is telling us about the relationship between people of two different cultures. I'll start with that, and I'm interested to hear some of your thoughts about these metaphorical, perhaps, and the more real level, if you will.
I will. I'm going to try to speak to you in English. It's not that easy for me. There are indeed two levels of interpretation of this film, one as a fantasy film and the other one as a political metaphorical film. I would not like to tell you to choose between both levels. I am not here to close the meaning of the film. I would prefer it if you went out of this cinema with a few questions perhaps. Then I'm not going to give answers to what one must absolutely understand about my political intentions or something. I prefer to leave that open, but indeed, of course, there are a few.
Okay, there's a question from the audience.
La genèse, en fait, comment vous est venue l'idée, comment est-ce que c'est quand même un scénario original pour parler de quelque chose de vrai, d'actuel?
Nous n'avons pas de traducteur. Can you help us to translate that? Maybe English. Yeah, Deutsch, and then we could get to English. Yes.
He was asking about the genesis, right? The first idea. How did the idea come, right? Is that the question? The first idea was to write a story about a man, a professor of philosophy, who wakes up in the mind, thinking he is, who wakes up in being a French Arab student, stuck in someone else's body. That was the first idea. And then it occurred to me that maybe there was a meaning after this, behind. And so as the financing took very long, then I could rewrite and add levels of interpretation and levels of meaning and so on. If we could finance the film in 6 months, it would have been very simple.
So I guess, are you making a plea for delayed financing for film?
No. No.
No, because I think as the film developed, thanks to this problem of not getting money, you then add this other level of the French Arab student, then most of the film is dedicated to the French Arab student taking on the identity of the professor instead.
Yes. No, that was part of the plan.
Yes.
It was always like this, but I kept digging for the meaning, the deeper meaning of the situation now.
Mm-hmm. And maybe this is a question for both of you, but I'm interested then in how you, Mehdi, directed Mehdi to perform the philosophy professor, because I found that incredibly moving. That for me was what really pushed the film to a different level, in the sense that you perform. We see that you're still the student, but that there's somehow a different bodily quality, a different mental quality that comes through, a different concentration, but we see in that sense the real and the abstract in your body.
First of all, before directing an actor, there is choosing an actor, and I chose an actor who had a certain interiority. I mean, you could see that there were when you could believe that there was a 50-year-old man inside him, which was not very easy to obtain from an actor, you know. And then in the direction, I'm not quite sure how we did. We worked, of course. There was Yassine and there was Richard, obviously, and maybe there was a third character in the end, maybe, who would be both, and he would play the part of Richard, but he would not play Emmanuel Salanger. He would not try to imitate another actor. He would just look for Richard within himself.
I don't know I can add, that's exactly that. But at the same time, at some point you have to play the situation more than thinking of being a character or playing a character. You do the work before the shooting, and when you do the thing, you just have to focus on what you do, which is the situation of what's going on in the scene and what you're going through emotionally, physically, and that's more on that you should focus.
So it wasn't that you were studying Manuel Salanger in order to figure out how...
I studied him, but I didn't... I studied him, but as I studied Maria de Medeiros, for example, or other actors, and I knew that imitating from the outside someone else would not be interesting. And that's how Mehdi directed me also.
I see. So in a sense, you found the other within you.
Yeah.
In order to.
I tend to work like this. No, but some actors work from the outside, which is fine also. But I tend to work from the inside. Yeah.
I see that 50-year-old man inside. Is what you brought out. Good. There seemed to be some kind of uproar in the audience, but perhaps we can open this up to questions at this point. You'll have to raise your hand up high. It's a little... Okay, the microphone's here coming on the side, I believe. The lights are very bright, so we can't always see, so please make noise. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for the film. I thought it was stunning. It was thrilling because it was it had a very bubbly quality that these topics are not always treated with. It was very hopeful to me. What I have an observation to make, and maybe I would like to have your comment on it. And the thing is that you have this, I noticed the motive of the father knocking on the door. It's a little bit like a parallel to the Don Giovanni father that comes to kind of claim to blame the son for the sins he has committed. Instead here it is the opposite. He comes as a kind of fake messenger of death, or actually a real messenger of death for the professor. But both fathers are kind of powerless and actually they don't have any impact on the story. It feels like the story opens up when the fathers are left behind and when it kind of functions on the level of pure desire. I don't know if I'm being too complicated. What I want to say is that, kind of there is this sense of these two Arab boys who are they just decide to not have the sense of guilt or the sense of responsibility for the sins of their father or